That's just what I have written.
Oh, just kidding. That's a total
We're still waiting to find out what his ruler is.
So, do we know anything about the deck list or anything yet?
I don't have any of the deck lists currently. They're on a separate timer, so. I know that Jean-Paul is currently X2-1. And I also believe that so is Enrique, because they're both at 10 points, which would be 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw.
We have our sassy stream slave.
Excuse me while I go instill some confidence.
So let's see. So, all right, now, Jeremy, we're walking into round 7. It's been a long day.
It has been a very long day. Looks like some kind of machine mirror.
Yeah.
So we got a machine mirror in the last round. So just a little preview of what you might be expecting going into top 8. Although I will say that Brunhild and Lucifer are still making a very strong showing. Yes. And table 1 this last round was a mirror match of Lucifer's. So obviously one of them came out ahead. Yep. Someone's knocking on the door.
Excuse me, guys.
Can I talk?
No, you're.
Scoop to my phone.
Oh, so you're just.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. So.
Sorry, guys, I'm back.
Okay, that's an interesting choice. So it looks like Loki VR. It is Loki. So
Yeah,
it's Loki machines versus Arthur machines. So we'll have to see how this goes.
All right, so now John waving to us with his beautiful face. Now, all right, so before, I don't have the deck list yet, so we're going into this kind of blind.
Right.
Who do you take in this matchup? Who do you prefer?
So I think I actually kind of weirdly prefer Loki.
Okay.
And the reasoning being that Loki generates value faster.
Okay.
And also the cheaper judgment. Because, again...
They're both 3.
Oh, they're both 3?
Yep.
But, like, it's more continual value for Loki.
Over, yeah.
And knowing that, especially, again, like we talked about before, machines just can't answer J rulers. Yeah. So once that Loki flips, it's just free addition, like free for the rest of the game. So we'll have to see how it kind of goes. Turn 1 Vivian here from Jean-Paul.
So what's interesting,
responds with a turn 1 Vivian of his own.
Many players have commented that the machine mirror is very much about who goes first and just the tempoed plays that are set. Obviously, the draws that
We can start the timer on round.
Obviously, the draws that they get are a huge factor, but it'll be interesting to see if John Paul can take the
second Vivian
and with the option to activate Stone of Dramaturgy if he wants.
And immediately going into a maintenance.
Ooh, I don't know what I think about that.
I think it's probably okay.
Yeah.
Having those huge tokens, because he can use to tap down.
Aggro.
So what he can do is he can use 2 to tap down the Vivian,
Yep.
and then he can use his Vivian to kill the other Vivian. John Paul was trying to drop cards.
Yeah. And I think you're right that if the idea is to do this, that's acceptable. And Monstrify. If this is Monstrify, I'm gonna be very happy. Boom. Oh, and
Monstrify back.
Zone.
It's just gonna be
Boom. All right.
Monstrifies essentially cancel each other out.
And
So the Vivian is still gonna get killed. And he
yeah.
burned his Energize to do it,
Yeah.
which is really, really big.
Why is
He might be thinking of, I don't know.
No, it's most certainly dead, sir. Okay. Yep. All right. That he just misplayed. Okay, that's
Just move things to the wrong spots.
all right. So now I'm inclined to think. Sadly, I feel like this game is.
I mean, it's already pretty heavy on John Paul's favor, even just the opening turns. Having 2 Vivians is huge. Being able to now, he's burned his opponent's Energize, which I think was a beautifully laid trap from Jean Paul. So now he can stick a Lancelot this next turn. He will have access to being able to remove to kill something. A Donut Drone. We've seen this play a lot.
Now, Do you sack the donut drone?
I don't think so. Knowing that there's most likely a Lancelot, it doesn't really do much. At this moment, I think it can kind of sit.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. And I think knowing that the Vivians have flying naturally, like you can kind of fly over. There's no way that the one on Enrique's side, I think, gets used as a blocker without getting tapped down. I think it's too much advantage to lose if he was to do that himself. I'm not sure what they're debating right now. Oh, maybe just what we're talking about now. We're playing the shuffling game. With that man.
I think Enrique might be thinking about whether or not to sacrifice the
there you
donut
go.
drone and or save it up for potentially like a maintenance.
And so now, a couple interesting choices can be made here. So now, one of the major differences between the two decks is basically their master runes. And so Arthur's master rune being a splitting the cards into two piles and then a player choosing one and losing the rest versus Loki having targeted removal. Which do you find more powerful in the mirror, do you think?
I think in the mirror, Excalibur might be more beneficial, mainly because you also have Lancelot. So Lancelot can set up antimatter cannon to be this very heavy hitting spot where you can almost kind of put your opponent in this position where you put everything except their big dude
thing
into one pile and then the big thing in the other pile. So then either they lose their big thing and then you're just like, okay, cool, I got rid of the big thing for 3, or they lose everything and then you go, here's Lancelot, kill your big thing.
Fine play. So we saw there Lancelot come out. We saw the tokens get removed to kill the Vivane, and I don't know if the damage was pushed through or if it was rested down to prevent it. So it was rested down, as we can see. So, all right, now this is an interesting play here. We're on turn 3. We're kind of, if he's got a 1-drop where he can kind of gain some tempo advantage, he might be all right. But I think we might be kind of
Wrapping this game up, weirdly enough. Being only at only 1 will here, and then not even having a machine to follow it up makes me think, why did we even play this edition? It was just like, I'm going to spend 2 will to have something happen way later. So Jean-Paul getting his own Sky Rounds, which is a machine, so the Vivians suddenly have extra counters. Swinging in for 7, swinging in for 8. Sorry, because of the +1 bonus. Says it's okay, goes down to 32. Gonna tap down and then kill the Jorgmunder with his Vivane. Be a 5/5. And then swinging in the air for 7, so taking him down to 25. So Jean-Paul just doing an excellent job here, just completely controlling the board. Really just working out well in his favor. And Loki's at a point now where doesn't really necessarily have, like, again, the access to Excalibur as like a mini kind of weird board wipe. He is going to get the Gawain here, which gets to come in and have the counters. However, Jean-Paul is sitting on a Lancelot killable trigger. He's going to use the thing to put it back on top of the deck with his rune and then draw a card. Or no, that's the... I think that's the blue rune. That's Thick Fog. Cannot attack this turn, draw a card. So choosing to make it so that the Gawain couldn't even attack. Seeing a Scrap and Guild get played here into another Gawain.
Why does everything has to be random?
Using the 3 with Lancelot to kill the second Gawain. And then Rinke passing the turn. Swinging the Hamlin to take the Gawain. This is going to be a lot of damage. I mean, that's lethal at this point because the Gawain will have swiftness. So with that, stealing the Gawain, swinging in, takes game 1 for Jean Paul. So don't have the deck list to be able to look for the game 2. That Hamlin play, though, is surprisingly strong. Not sure what they would sideboard into each other. Being able to be on the play for Enrique might just end up being what he needs. But overall, a pretty quick game 1. Probably the fastest game 1 we've seen all day. Huh? Yeah, or coming back. We're going into game 2, Jeff. Welcome back.
What happened? I missed it.
So there was a
John Paul kind of closed.
yeah, he did. So a Gawain was played from Enrique.
Okay.
Thick Fog came in to stop that from being able to attack. Scrap and build into a second Gawain. Killed that with Lancelot. Went into his turn. John Paul for 6 will cast Hamlin. Stole the Gawain and swung in for lethal because the Gawain had a counter on it, so it has swiftness.
Hamlin,
Yeah. So
I know that some people were maybe a little bit upset that the Hamlin didn't have the same effect that it did back in Grim Cluster.
I
but-
mean, it's okay for it not to.
Yeah, that's. If anyone doesn't remember, sometimes that got a little bit shenanigans.
What was the effect?
The effect was when it comes into play, you tap down a resonator your opponent controls, and that resonator couldn't recover as long, like during the recover phase, as long as Hamlin went on board. But the thing was, Hamlin also did that whenever he attacked.
So eventually, just nothing could block or stop it, and this was with a tutor spell that put it into play as well.
On turn 3, potentially even turn 2. There were times, especially in the very beginning of the game, where we had what I like to call Hamlin trains, where it was play a thing, tell a fairy tale into Hamlin, opponent tells a fairy tale into Hamlin, opponent tells a fairy tale into Hamlin, and it's just Hamlin's locking us down Hamlins. So then it was just like, well, we're going on a Hamlin train. Just got to kill one, and then the others can start recovering.
Get your red mages out. So, all right, looks like sideboarding's done here. Jean Paul's going to start with the Energize, and now I'm curious to
It's going to start with 3 runes revealed.
Yeah, very powerful. I'm curious to see now. So, Jean Paul started the game first last round and kind of snowballed into
Yeah,
a turn.
very much.
And I obviously in a mirror match, so going first is very powerful, and with very similar rune decks, I think, and access to, we were likely to see something similar, but it also depends on the kind of card quality that they draw. You can assume there's going to be a Vivian to start.
Yeah, both of these guys going very, very quick. I've been told that Vivian Nightmares in this match have felt very much like the old Priscia days of old, where the games are over very, very fast.
Yeah. They're very strong and a lot more interesting matchups, I think, in versing other matchups. But I think in the mirror, it becomes very much so who's got more gas and just pedal to the metal.
Right. Even there you see the donut drone into the Vivian plays. You've got a nice little 8/8 Vivian.
Yeah. And knowing that you're safe, there's no Lancelot this turn, that Vivian's pretty much dead. Like, we can assume that it's going to get tapped down and dropped. And as long as Jean keeps Will open, well...
And donut drone back.
Yeah, let me hold my words.
So just have 2 casual 8/8 Vivians.
So we actually just split the screen in half and have been copying the footage. So.
Yep. Which, surprisingly enough, costs more than us reusing the footage. So for reusing footage to save money, this is not going well. Choosing to tap down the Vivian here.
Interesting.
Maybe just to swing in for the damage.
And okay. So because he has the energy, or the energy, the will open to monstrify.
Right. So he, in response to moving to combat, Jean-Paul also tapping down the other Vivian.
So there is a lot of intricacies in the mirror match here. I think sometimes it gets overshadowed as just like big slapping contests, but there actually is quite a few decisions to be made here. Now, if you are Enrique, do you try to play the... do you tap down the vein or do you monstrify?
I think it doesn't.
No,
It doesn't matter really either way,
yeah, he's got
because he can just monsterify back.
Yep. I'm curious if he will. He's gonna rest it. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
I think it's so important that they keep a board state here. And so I think that, excuse me guys, 1 second.
Yeah, I think any way possible to be able to protect your Vivians is a big piece.
As long as you can keep stuff on the field, it's such a big advantage because there is so little haste, or excuse me, swiftness. that,
What game we playing, Jeff?
Hey Jeff, how's it going? What game did you play again?
Okay.
So just very powerful, very important to keep your board state. Something interesting here, if Enrique chooses to monstrify this turn, there's not a whole lot that Jean-Paul can do besides tap his resonator down, putting them back again pretty equal. Oh, okay. He's going wide. So it looks like Enrique's got more of the one-drop build.
Yeah, so he's playing a mechanical soldier here. It's just a one-drop vanilla 4/4.
Yep. So, and as you've seen in previous rounds, that some of the 4/4s have abilities, some not. It's a kind of a balancing attribute that machines are very much oriented around each other, and so even though it doesn't have any effects, being a machine is almost an effect for Vivian. So, whereas something like the green spirit there, the fairy draws a card as an ability. All right, we see Lancelot, very powerful.
That Lancelot should only have one counter on it. Correct? Yeah, that.
Yeah, hold on.
Kevin's gonna go correct it. We might be wrong, but that Lancelot should only have one
Wait,
count.
is there a maintenance face up? No.
Nope, hasn't used a maintenance. It's not very far to walk. Again, not clear. I don't think it was intentional in any way, shape, or form, but we want a well-represented, correct board state. So, and in a format and a deck that needs more +1/+1s, making sure we know exactly how many +1/+1s there are is very relevant.
All right, now this is where I think the game. This next turn is very important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if he can
I think
answer this board presence state this turn, make it so Lancelot isn't going to start just value towning off of everything. It is potentially a very good spot for him.
I assumed as Vivian was going down, she rested the opposing Vivian so that there was not free damage going in. Okay, so we're seeing here. I see Jorgmunder in his hand. Or Jorgmunder. I keep getting yelled at. Whatever. I like my pronunciation.
Blue Dragon.
Yeah. The wee little lad. I like to call it Watt Dragon if anyone plays Yu-Gi-Oh!
A Digimon.
Yeah, it's an actual Digimon. So, free branding.
Swing for 4. Blocks with the
7/7.
This is okay.
Like, cool.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, that was a...
Maybe to get another one engraved for scrap and build,
scrap and
just
build.
to maybe dig a little deeper.
How many? Three?
It's 3 deep.
I mean, you're not likely to miss. Oh, he's...
How dare you say that? Now he's gonna miss.
Yeah, he's gonna... Commentator's curse and just brick. I can't tell what that one on top is.
Looks like a donut drone,
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You got donut drone.
a Gawain.
Interesting choice.
Choosing the donut drone. Color me curious.
Yeah. He's got 3.
Well, I can kind of understand it from the perspective of the there's a Lancelot on board, right? So if he
Yeah.
plays a Gawain and then tries to pump it, then it just gets killed by Lancelot, and at that point in time he's wasted a bunch of cards to do nothing. And
He's in a rough spot, kind of regardless to some degree. Like he's got to burn through at least like no matter what, his best creature is getting killed, right? Like we know that's going to happen.
Right.
How does he work them through that?
Right.
And so it's very hard to justify. For example, he's got looks like 2 Digimon in his hand.
yeah,
And I don't think this is a matchup where those really are going to do well.
no, unfortunately they're not. With machines being one of the very few, especially Lancelot being one of the very few consistent instant speed removal.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna see a
Consume here.
in
coming
response.
out. We can assume.
So potentially for 7.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna kill that. All right, that's fair. And then Enrique goes up to 47. All right.
47.
Oh, sorry, my mic was off. I've been broadcasting through Jeremy's as a side.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, you couldn't hear my beautiful voice.
There we go.
I'm good at this. Don't worry.
If it's the worst thing that happened, it's been
yeah.
a great stream.
Yeah, we've had an excellent stream all day. So, anyways, we have. Oh dear. All right.
A second, 2 sky rounds? Is that what just got cast?
Yep.
Oh.
2 sky rounds, crash into donut drone, swing. What is this? 9?
Yeah, 9 coming in, taking him down to 38.
Yep.
It says I'll teach you to gain life.
Yeah. It's like you don't teach life in this neighborhood.
So we're back in a similar position again, where despite the fact that like Loki can kind of get value over time better than Arthur can, he hasn't been able to generate that starting the advantage. Jean Paul's been able to keep up the early aggression, which prevents Loki from getting into its kind of like comfortable rhythm.
Yep. And we've seen Consume come out. We have not yet seen Excalibur be played, and I would assume that he's running it. I don't think we've seen it yet, but I don't think he really is being forced into that position yet, especially
Absolutely
with this
not.
board state.
Being tapped out just to get a Lancelot and a, I mean, sure, you can maintenance, right?
Yep. Which
Does set up to...
Yeah. I mean, that is a powerful play, but I think that having the additions in play is also huge. Anything that Jean Paul plays from now on is powered up.
Yep.
And
+2 permanent.
Yep, it's just there's going to be a lot of just incremental value. This is kind of the synergy machine in full effect.
Right.
Anything he plays now is just going to spiral. We see 1, 2. Oh, there we go.
There's the
It's
Excalibur.
Excalibur.
So
All
he gets
right.
to pick.
Yep.
Paying 2 will to say pick 2 things.
So I
Or pay 3 will to pick 2 things.
I agree with this play. I think that it forces him to make a decision before he does anything else. He chooses to keep Merlin. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. That's fair. Lance goes to the bottom of the deck. Yeah. So interesting. No, I'm trying to think what this 2 will that he's representing here is. So one interesting thing is the machine deck is basically all resonators almost.
Yep, and there's not many. Blue in total only has a grid of outside of runes.
Yeah, yep.
So then outside of runes only has 3
Spells, yeah.
I mean, they have rune chance.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, they do have some rune chance. Not a ton of them see a lot of play.
Yeah,
It's mainly just a lot of resonators.
all right. So
Yord coming in with both of his counters.
I approve. So 9/9 that when it attacks, it's gonna eat something.
Wait, she should have to pay more for.
It should cost 3.
Oh, okay.
It could cost 4 if you've got both.
I think he only- oh, he did pay 4.
Okay. Oh, and okay, the Merlins from before. Okay. And okay, all right. So that's now that Excalibur's been played. That's a pretty serious board. What are we looking at? Charm, maybe? Oh, okay. Nope. Draw a card. Prevent the damage.
Prevent something from attacking.
Oh, yep, yep.
That would have been what he was representing with the.
Oh, yeah, the two will open. Forsooth. So, gets the extra card draw out of this now. That is a pretty serious board on Enrique's side. I'm curious to see what Jean-Paul has in. Okay. Oh, I see a lot of value.
Okay. Good point, Abandon. It is the owner makes the piles. The caster picks the pile.
Yeah.
So that was why Jean-Paul picked the Lancelot. Because he gets to pick it. So
it is
Lancelot coming in with 3 counters just off the bat.
Oh, jeez.
Sky rounds.
Yeah. And then
Another counter, 3 counters, just like immediately coming in and being able to kill a resonator is massive.
Yeah, these lances are gross. There's just so much value here. I mean, we can basically assume that Jorgmundar is never getting anywhere near the attack.
Moves to combat.
No. Yeah, there we go. Boom.
Nice.
Nice. Well, guys, if you are still watching, we're at 159 viewers, I think, and
It's been awesome.
it's been an awesome day. I'm hoping that obviously we're a bit worn down. We've had a long day of
absolutely.
commentating, and I've been all over the place today in meetings and whatnot. But hopefully you've enjoyed it. Tomorrow we'll be back with the top 8 as well.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have enjoyed. There's been a lot of awesome games today. This has been super exciting. I've loved this. Now we have Lance over here. Still, we have one Lance charged up and ready to kill something. I think if Jean-Paul can untap, we know he has a Merlin in hand.
Sure.
And that could potentially kind of help him restabilize the board here. I think Enrique has this turn to really try to damage the board state as much as possible on Jean-Paul's side.
Right, because just a few more machines, if you can't get rid of those Lancelots, means the board wipe's coming.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter how wide your board is if I just kill it.
And having both of those additions out there means that
Everything is gigantic.
every one drop he plays is just coming in, adding to that pie.
+4.
Yeah. Yeah, don't forget that even this, the Lancelots over here are, like, the one with one counter is still a 9/9.
Yeah, because of the 2
Yeah.
Sky rounds. Another Yorm, whatever, Digimon
Yeah.
played.
I would assume that is a growth counter.
I think that's a Gluttony.
Yep, you're right. Gluttony, 3 will. He's
He's Digivolving.
He's digivolving into the next. This is War Jugmander.
We need 4 more seasons so he
Yeah.
can get to
Metal
War Yormander.
Yeah. So we added 3 counters by Stone of Dramaturgies on there.
To the Vivians.
Yeah.
But taps himself pretty close to out to be able to do so. I have to imagine that perchance he's holding on to a nitrogen blade. The idea being to be able to cancel the board wipe.
That only hits triggered, I believe, not activated.
Even better. So it doesn't
Even better.
It doesn't do anything at all.
He's got it up just to have it. Get at me. We're at that point of the day where the cards do whatever we say we want them to. So, all right, he does recover. He manages to So this, I think we're gonna have. Oh,
Two
okay.
barrels.
If he awakens anything, we are going to have a lot of value here. Oh,
You mean
is
like this
a-
card he's about to awaken?
Oh.
Like a Merlin?
like a Merlin?
So he's going to get to go grab a 2-drop,
Yep.
but gets to then
Draw 2.
Draw 2 cards off of it.
Yeah. Draw 2, and now, Vivint. I'm gonna guess. Oh,
It's a sky round.
That's gross. That is. So we are at 6 counters now. So he has one.
Lancelot's all of his machines get a permanent +3/+3 bonus.
Yep. You know, with the size of his resonators, oh dear.
And then a donut drone. So there's a board wipe
Yep.
just by itself. So what's worse is so this is dirty. So he has 3 counters just immediately. So every machine he plays at this point
Oh, yeah.
is now a Lancelot
Lancelot,
kill.
yeah.
And this is even dirtier because now he just plays maintenance.
And you have to just assume.
And he's just like, I'm just gonna use these to board wipe.
Yeah.
And ta-da.
And you should just kind of put everything you control in the graveyard. Yeah. So that's the.
And so those Lancelots is a 9 and a 10
Yep.
for their stat lines.
Yep. Without any counters on them.
They're just based at 9, 10. Merlin being now a 12, 13.
Yeah, this game is spiraling very.
He's gonna at least try to tap something down with the Vivian before he gets killed.
Yeah. Then puts his everything away. And this is the board, like, kind of state that we were talking about, that if he could not answer, would become.
He's gonna stack the donut drone immediately.
Yeah.
Just pump up Lance,
Boom.
swing in for that'd
13.
be 13 with that Lancelot, taking him down to 25. So I see a Merlin and a donut drone.
Yeah.
Nothing in there that's gonna do him any good.
What is in Enrique's hand?
Merlin
Just
and a donut drone.
Alright.
Bear magic. These are files.
So, it's safe to say that if that's the first play, that we may or may not have our final round. I can't.
1, 2, 3, 4. Awakening for 1 to grab a 3-drop.
Lance, maybe?
Yep, Lancelot.
Which will, I assume, be promptly executed upon. So, the interesting thing here is he can always, in response to the Lance kill one thing, but I don't think we're gonna.
Right.
That's not gonna buy him back into this game.
The thing is, he has to get enough counters first, and each one's only getting 1.
Yeah.
So he has to.
He'd have
So
to
even if
pop the drone.
if he pops the drone or a maintenance gets cast, Jean Paul can just kill his Lancelot before that resolves.
Yep.
So nothing's really gonna come out of it. So he would have spent a whole turn to just
Try
have a
to-
have a Merlin, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spend his whole hand and spend the turn to have a Merlin.
And he does have the 2 stones open to also squeak in a Lance activation, but I don't think that's gonna get him close enough
Right.
to actually come back in this game realistically.
He's not. Dramaturgy.
This is kind of the synergy machine in full effect, where it's just
I mean, that board state is gigantic.
yeah, I mean,
for
anything that
Jean-Paul.
Jean-Paul plays at this point is huge.
And he's got 2 Lancelots. So any machine he plays instantly comes in ready to be able to
kill
be used as
something.
Lancelot.
Yep.
So
And
there's
then
just so much value generated.
any awakening draws him 2 extra cards. It just there's
It's going to respond to the dramaturgy to try to kill the Lancelot. Out comes the donut drone in response.
Yep. Going to obviously.
Kill one of the Lancelots.
Yeah, you would have to assume. So. We're seeing them untap, and I almost, this has got to just about wrap it up, I think.
And slots are, yeah, like we said, a 11-13.
Yeah.
And a 10-10. Playing
Oh,
Hamlin to take the
jeez.
other Merlin.
Yeah, that's going to be
And then there's
slaughter for a game.
That's just lethal.
Very
So
good.
there you guys have it. Jean-Paul takes our
2-0.
second game 2-0 in the Knight's Mirror.
I believe that's round 7, yeah?
And that is round 7. So we'll kick over to our interview here.